Destination Uri, the morning programme, 7:30 every morning, weekdays 7:30 to 10:30 GMT. We're delighted to be here for you. I'm delighted and privileged to be your host. Delighted to have Tom McKay with me in the studio. You're a good man and welcome.
Thank you.
I would have thought Tom was as Newry as the Clan Rye, but I just discovered this morning that no, you came from Ansborough into Newry, and then you decided at an important point to take the soup and go to South Armagh.
That's right.
You deserted down.
I never regretted it.
Ah, indeed not, indeed. Ted, what were the circumstances of coming to Newry as a family?
Well, employment.
Yeah?
My late father, God be good to him,
you can be sure that God is been good to him because he was a wonderful human being.
Thank you. Thank you. He was. Great influence in my life.
Ah, tell me.
But he found employment with Quins in Newcastle in the bar trade, and he was transferred then to Newry.
To Quins
in Newry. And we came to Newry and we lived in a place in Water Street called McKay's Terrace at the back of the dam.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lived there for a few years and then went over to Merchants Quay.
Yes.
Before eventually ending up on Courtney Hill.
Courtney Hill. Yes. But my memory of your dad, Tom, he was a great man for football and Shamrocks. Yeah. And I've always, this lovely memory of him, he was the mentor that would stand, took a great interest in young people in their footballing ways. And he would stand there with a long gabardine coat and the belt on the middle. And he would be caring and helping and advising and bringing people forward all the time.
Yes. Youth, young people was his great love. He hadn't a lot of interest in senior football. Mm-hmm. He had as such, but where he worked all the time was young people. He loved working with young people. And Eamon Traynor tells a beautiful story about him that he always held them, like yourself, he always held them in high regard. He remembers my father walking from Courtney Hill to the meadow to tell him as a young fella that the game was off because it was raining.
He took that trouble.
And he took that trouble to walk there. He said he never forgot it.
No, you wouldn't forget.
But he had a great interest in young people and put a lot of people through his hands. You would have been part of it as well.
I was, before I went to Belfast.
If memory serves me right, you had the potential to be a great footballer, but somewhere along the line you seemed to drift away. But he put a lot of famous people through his hands.
He did.
Tony Haddon, Pat Jennings,
indeed.
And a number of others who all went on to play for Down.
Yeah. My disappearance was in large measure due to going to Belfast at the age of 16. And I went and I left my home and went to Belfast and had a flat in Belfast, which was an extraordinary enough thing, to go to college in Belfast and then go into the Navy.
Yes.
Now if I went around the world. But I took, wherever I went, the memory of your dad was always in my head. The picture was there, a good picture in the frame of Tommy McKay.
Yes.
God knows, he was great. And a Shamrocks man, dedicated Shamrocks man.
My father had a great love of the GAA. And while he was a dedicated Shamrocks man, I'm sure you remember the time of the rift where the Mitchells, where the Bosco was formed, and then the Mitchells.
Yes.
And while there was a fair amount of aggro between the clubs at that time, my father never got involved in that.
No.
Because his attitude was, with the formation of a new Gaelic club in Newry, there was another 30 to 40 people playing Gaelic football.
Absolutely.
And that the town would be all the better for it.
What a wise man he was.
You know, and this was it. That's the way he looked at it.
Absolutely. Very, so absolutely right. Now, you moved then. First of all, did your dad, was he blessed with seeing Downs first?
Oh,
All Ireland win.
Yes.
That must have been great.
60, 61 and 68, he had great enjoyment for them as well.
Yeah.
And also 91 and 94, when he didn't attend them, but he still had. For Down to win in All Ireland was a magnificent achievement for him. And he saw it in many ways a fruition of the work that he put in.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you mentioned Tony Haddon. Tony was there.
You know, And
Goodness
it's
gracious.
a great source of pride.
Absolutely.
It was interesting, like Tony worked along with myself in Queen's,
Yeah.
the Milestone. And at 16 years of age, he had no interest in football.
Wow.
He was a good handballer and a terrific runner.
Yes.
He'd been a great athlete
Yeah.
if he had to put it to it as well. But my father encouraged him to come down and to, when we worked in Queen's with the half day on a Wednesday.
Yes.
And we went down to the marshes and kicked a bit of football. And father encouraged him to go down, and from there it started. He was a natural from the very start.
Tom, there's not too many people would remember them as the Marshes.
Oh, no. Well, actually, I was just thinking back the other day, I gathered stones in it.
Yes.
When Father Essler, Lord have mercy on him, bought the ground, and we got out of the Abbey and went down from school to gather stones.
Gather the stones off the pitch.
And our award was a poke from Tommy Price.
Tommy Price's
Tommy
books.
Price,
My
sizes.
goodness, yeah. And do you remember, and I see it clearly in my mind's eye, the black Nissan hut
Yes.
over in the corner.
But that's where we changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you think of today.
They were, they made us what we became.
Yeah, but we had happy times.
We did have good times.
We had,
really good times.
We were easily satisfied.
Well, there were times without iPods and tablets and all the rest of it,
Yeah, but we made our own entertainment.
We very much did.
It never ceases to amaze me when my grandchildren say they're bored.
Oh, how
We were never bored.
never bored.
Never.
I remember the ludicrous occurred when the Frontier Picture House held a Saturday morning talent competition. And I, without being able to play any instrument, entered for it and did a runner at the last minute because I knew it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
But those were, you did things and you had enjoyment out of doing the simple things.
Yes.
Now, let's come back to you now, if we may. Because you had when you went to South Armagh to live out in Crosswoodland,
Yes.
an affinity grew up between you and the local school, St. Joseph's there.
Yes.
What's the provenance of that? How did that happen?
Just to explain, when I got married, I married a Crosswoodland girl.
It could have been worse. You could have married somebody from Lurgan
Yes.
and you'd ended up there.
Yeah, and the first place we got a house was Crosswoodland. So settled in there, loved it, still do, and my children come along, and my children went to St. Joseph's in Crosswoodland, and then I was asked would I become a governor.
Yes.
And I'd have to say probably had a vested interest in it because my children were there.
Of course.
And you wanted to ensure that they got the best, and also the other children. And it was out of that it developed a lifelong interest in education.
And that time as a governor there, it was 25 years or something.
35.
35 years as governor of the school. Now that
15 years as a governor and 20 years as chairman.
My goodness.
Yeah.
But you see, there you are. You were doing something. It was no sinecure. You were there. It was a tough. There were tough calls to be made.
Oh, definitely.
To build that school, to take it forward.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of serving with all the principals on the school. And if I can just paint the picture for you, this school, we're now celebrating our 50th anniversary. And this school was opened in 1964. Mm-hmm. Bricks and mortar and that type of thing. And against that background, there was a certain attitude not within the community church, but within the teaching profession, and they would warn children in the primary school that if you didn't study, you could end up in that school up there.
Wow.
And so it was against that background that the school had to develop. Also, when the school was set up, it was a blank slate. There was nobody from the Department of Education to say what you should teach and what you didn't teach.
Yes.
And that type of, so it was left very large to the teachers that were there. And we were very lucky in the sense that the first principal was Archie McMullen, and he was a hands-on man. He could have fixed the television, he could have done anything, but he had all that practicalities to get the thing into. But behind him, he had a good bunch of staff, Bridget McMahon and a couple of others, and Bernard Crilly, who helped to design the programme.
Yes.
And built on it over the years.
Did Bernard become principal?
Yes.
Yes, I
Bernard
remember.
was the second principal.
Yeah, hey, was Bernard a small man, black
That's
hair?
right, black
Yeah.
hair,
I would often
sharp wit.
Yeah, I would often greet him out of nowhere and
Uh-huh.
would say hello to him.
Yes, yes, but very able, and from Archie laying the foundations, Bernard took it on to the next stage.
Yeah.
And was constantly developing different studies and that type of thing, and and moved it on. He was ably served by a vice principal, as I mentioned her name before, Bridget McMahon,
Yeah.
who was great.
Yeah, Crossmaglen is seen as a place apart.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's the neighbouring area around it is Ireland.
Yes.
But Crossmaglen is the place.
Yeah.
What is that special thing that makes Crossmaglen the place that it is?
Well, there's an independence of spirit.
Where does that come from?
I suppose it's from the fact that being a border area, you no employment, government that doesn't want you, this type of thing. People had to have their own independence, make their own living.
Yeah.
And from that, they had to stand up to authority. In
yes,
the sense
indeed.
that, you know, Crossmaglen always looked south,
Yep.
not north.
Of course.
If you go to socialise or that type of thing, it was south you would always go.
Dundalk would have been the place.
Dundalk, Castleblaney, Carrickmacross, and that type of thing. And the area, the hinterlands around it, were small farms, people with nothing. 7 or 8 acres and having a rare 8 and 10 children.
Yeah.
You know,
yes,
so it was, people had to live by their wits and that type of thing, and there was an independence, a will to survive.
Ah, yes, I get the point. Yeah, what were the greatest challenge you had, if it's possible for you to one, first of all, a high point that was the greatest joy of your 35 years, and then the greatest challenge and difficulty of your 35 years? What were those two things?
The greatest joy was, it's funny, it's a nice way to retire from the job, was the fact that after many years of hard work, the minister announced that we were going to get a new school.
Wow.
So it was a nice way to slide out.
Yeah.
It showed you the work that you had put in over all those years.
Born fruit.
You eventually got there. Because in the back of I had been considering retirement for the last 2 or 3 years. Thought it was job time for a younger person to come in and step in. And, you know, it was a source of disappointment to me that I hadn't achieved that goal. But about 6 weeks or 6 before I announced my retirement, the news came through.
News came through. My goodness.
That they got that.
Yeah. Now, the new school built on the same principles, the same ethos as everything that went before.
Yes, the ethos is very important. And I think that is what has taken us through to this stage, because there's a very strong ethos. It's pupil-centred. And as a governor, and my board of governors as well, our interest was always the welfare of the pupil, what was best for the pupil. Yeah. And we make no excuse about that. Teachers were secondary in this type of thing.
Yeah. Were you all, talking about the teachers, were you always listened to when you were pushing forward what you thought to be in the best interest of the children?
Yes, because the fact that we were, and myself as well, I was able to stand, I have exceptionally good relations with all the principals. So you were, if I can take you back to the start, in the early days, governors were something that had to be tolerated.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know,
yeah.
But when I came in, governors were beginning to make an impact, and that their views were beginning to be heard.
And they probably may have thought, here is someone, and here is a board of governors, we can get them to do some of the work.
No, the attitude might have been that the less they know, the better.
Oh, really?
You know. But as governors, the role of the governor has changed dramatically. From when I started out as a governor, the first couple of jobs would have been given on the nod.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
But now, over the years, and even in the very early stages, it had to be interview, it had to be right.
Yeah.
And governors, really, the government is getting something on the cheap. The role of the governor is not now appreciated. Because you have to be an expert on fair employment,
Yes,
equal opportunity, sexual discrimination, child protection, all these issues.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And then plus the fact, in the interview situation, you have to make difficult decisions.
Because Mary Jane's child down the road, this, that and the other, there's perceptions of that you should have done that in my favour, and all that.
Yeah,
it's not easy. It doesn't make you always popular.
No, you lose. You could lose friends, but I always maintain that anybody who always took exception to it, the decision that I made, honestly, was not a friend.
No. Well, of course, that's a wise way to look at it. Of course. Then came the Benny Morente medal.
A big surprise.
Now, how did that? What's the process for you getting that?
Well, it seems that there's a nomination. You're nominated. It's quite a lengthy process in the sense that, in my case, I assume it was my local parish priest who made the nomination to the Archbishop, and he in turn to the Papal Nuncio, and it goes to the Pope. And I was very honoured in the sense that it's Pope Francis.
Did Francis do it?
Yes.
Wow, that is wonderful.
Yeah. So,
that's pretty all right.
He's a man that I have high regard for, and it come from him. So I'm deeply honoured that he got it.
Well, when Peter McVerry and Brother Kevin in Dublin were the homeless, when they got their freedom of the city of Dublin, they're now able to drive their sheep through, graze their sheep on Stephen's Green. Now, are there any special privileges for you in that regard?
Well, so to say that if I go to Rome and I'm going into some of the Vatican places, and if there's a queue, if you have your Benny Morente medal, you're supposed to be able to go to the top of the queue. So, well, that's true or not. I haven't tried it out yet.
It'll come. Your day will come to do that.
So,
How is the retirement going, Tom?
Well, it's great in the sense that I've enjoyed every moment of retirement. I loved my job.
Yeah.
There wasn't a day that I never wanted to go into work, because I felt I was doing a very worthwhile job.
Wonderful way to be.
Yeah, But as soon as I retired and turned the key in that drawer, I never looked back.
Yes.
I would have a number of interests. Voluntary groups, very much involved with the Rangers.
Yes,
Chairman, Vice Chair.
Maybe you can answer the question about the Rangers. Why doesn't Armagh guarantee itself a succession of Sam Maguires year upon year by simply putting the orange jersey on the Rangers?
Yeah, well, it's that would seem to be the easy way, but. While the Rangers are an exceptionally good team,
wonderful team,
not every player would be equipped to play for Armagh. So that has to be a balance. But we reckon that in Crossmaglen that we could compete with many counties, and indeed in our preparation for All Ireland Club Championships, we would have played different counties in challenge matches and beat them.
It's interesting that,
but it's the fact that. There's that togetherness, the gel as a team, and each player is prepared to die for one another,
Yeah, of course. And that's what it's about. It's Kieran is doing well as manager of Armagh.
He is, yes.
You're happy with the way it's all going.
Yeah.
He would be a great proponent of the psychological way forward, and he would be strong there.
Yeah. I often wondered how we played.
How did we? God, what position did you play? I was right half forward.
I would have played centre half forward or,
you were
or full
inside
forward.
me then.
Yes.
You would have been,
But when they talk about player burnout and that type of thing, I'm looking back to my days, and we played a hell of a sight more football because football started in April and didn't end maybe till November.
Yes.
But during the summer period, we would have played in tournaments.
I do remember the tournaments.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what brought down football on.
Yeah.
And like, we played 12 matches in 14 days.
Absolutely.
You know,
I remember
and there was nobody burnt out.
Yeah. No.
And as a fella says, danced at 3 in the morning and walked at home as well.
Those were the
you know,
days, I tell you.
so those, you know, so at you know, there was no burnout.
No.
Kerry Cruppen out the road, actually, they played 14 matches in 14 days.
The tournaments were great.
Oh,
They
aye.
were the thing. I remember actually playing in a tournament.
Yeah.
And I got a cup from
Yeah.
the tournament, a wee cup.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
that was before I went to Belfast.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of the last things that happened
Yeah.
down there.
Oh, aye,
And
yeah.
I have a strange memory, and it can't be true, but I have a strange memory of playing in a tournament, and Gene Larkin was on the Cross Midland team.
Yes, Lord of
And
Ashton, yeah.
But I mean, I cannot conceive that I would have been playing on a team that was playing against Gene Larkin's team. It just seems strange to me. That was maybe tournament times.
Yeah,
That was the way it worked.
that's what it would be.
Yeah,
yeah.
anything was possible within
Oh,
the
aye.
tournament.
Yeah, yeah.
Goodness gracious.
That was in the marshes, actually.
It was in the marshes, surely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure, you remember it
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Isn't it great to be remembered?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, when you look at it, players are now tied up in diets and this type of thing.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
we had went to a tournament afterwards, say, for example, Glen.
Yeah.
And you went to the hall afterwards, and there was a dance.
Yeah.
And in the wee back room, you could have either got, there was tea and buns and apple tart and all the rest. Or if you wanted
Yeah.
a bottle of stout.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted a game of poker.
Yeah.
All those things were all going on at the one stage. And
Yeah.
so much for diet and so much for...
No. Tom, I wish you well. You're a great man. I'm so proud that you're involved, because it's the continuum from your daddy. You're now on the sideline at Cross Midland,
Yeah.
as your dad was on the sideline,
Yeah.
mentoring Yuri Shamrocks.
Uh-huh.
And good luck to you, and thank you so
Thanks
much for
all.
coming in.
Thank you.
Tom McKay, great man, son of Tommy McKay. Well done.
Thank you.
Destination Newry. Keep it on.